Okay.
Hi.
Hey,
I'm
everybody.
Kreacher. This is Dead Radio Show. It's nice to meet everybody.
Yes.
So you are Prelude to a Pistol. Where are you guys from?
Kind of all over the Northwest.
The Pacific Northwest, as we'll just say. Both.
It's pretty easy to say that Seattle's probably home base.
Okay.
That's
pretty
both Lee and I live in Seattle. Of course, Dave here lives all the way down in Salem, Oregon.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys got a similar thing to us. We're all in different states. One of us isn't even in the country.
Oh, damn.
We're trying to branch to everybody.
Very cool.
How did you guys start? Like, what brought you guys together to start your band?
Oh,
I
man.
don't know. How long do we have?
We've
Do you want
been
to tell the story, Lee, or?
I guess.
all
I'll try
the
not
time
to
in
be
the
too
world.
long with it. We formed, I want to say, 2012, I believe. We came from a band called The Sins, which had been playing up here in Seattle for numerous years. That band split up, and Prelude kind of evolved out of The Sin. We've had several lineups, like 3 or 4 different singers, three drummers. We had a violinist that we started the band with. But through it all, Damon and I have stuck together. So we're like the 2 original members from the beginning. And then Dave and I have known each other for many, many eons.
Mm-hmm.
Back here in Seattle, I was in a band. It was Abney Park. It was many, many eons ago. And Dave was in a band called Murder of Crows. And he was actually a guitar player back then, and we became friends. And then, Dave, you moved away from Seattle, and we kept in touch over the internet. And then when we were going through our last round here, we had just lost our singer right after COVID. And Dave was teasing me about it. and he says, "Did you guys lose another singer again?" And I said, "Yeah."
Oh, no.
And I said, "It really sucks because we had like new material that we were going to start working on." And Dave says, "Well, do you have it recorded?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he says, "Will you mind sending it to me?" And I said, "Well, sure. What are you going to do? Write lyrics to it or something?" And he says, "Just you wait." And then for my birthday, he wrote the lyrics to Let the Right One In, which is based on the vampire movie.
Yeah.
Which is my favorite vampire movie. And so it was a really nice birthday present. And then we started auditioning singers, and Dave came up to jam, and we kept trying to get him to come back up because he was the best out of everyone that we auditioned. And we had a drummer, and then he had to leave, and we ended up having a couple auditions, and just there's not a lot of drummers out there, so got out my old drum machine and started programming, and then learned like we could actually add keyboard lines back into the sound, and here we are.
That's awesome. It sounds like you guys were meant to be a band.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the evolution has been pretty strange over these past like 13 years. We had a more of like a post-punk kind of sound. Then we kind of went into a little bit more of a hard rock direction. It kind of got a little bit more grungier, sludgier, a little heavier when we released Redemption, and then this current generation, I don't really know what to call us, to be honest with you.
One thing I think that we've been able to do, partially actually because now that we're a 3-piece, I mean, this kind of lends into the question of, it's like, what's the difference between what we were when we had a drummer as opposed to now? Is that now we have been able to expand a lot of the catalog of what we'll do live to include some of the earlier material that wasn't necessarily in the forefront when it was a 4-piece. And having that option allowed us to do a lot more interesting things in that we had the opportunity to add keyboard backing, but as Lee mentioned, originally Prelude had formed with a violin accompaniment to be able to fill in some of the space there for some of for the music. That had dropped off over the years as it became kind of a heavier sound. But by being a three-piece, we were able to add a lot of that back into what we were doing. So we were able to have a lot more interesting revisits of what we had done before and build out what our current sound is.
That's awesome. So you can use your older stuff now, like in a different way than you would have otherwise.
The way it originally sounded.
Yeah.
For a while there, we were playing some of the older songs, but without that violin keyboard sound. And with this new direction, we've been able to add that back in, which has been very nice.
That's so cool.
And in a way, we've been able to also, for lack of a better term, modernize some of the earlier material as well.
Very true.
Yeah.
Especially when we have these extra tools at our disposal that we can add before, just on that little iPad. And we're able to add extra things to kind of make, just to kind of almost complete the sound, if you will.
Samples,
so cool.
weird sounds.
Yeah.
Maybe add some things in there that we didn't even think of back in late 2012, early 2013.
Yep.
So you're more able to update it now.
Yeah.
To be more appealing towards yourself and other. Yeah, that's really cool.
And also too, because it's even back in the early days, it's we still recorded we still wrote music in standard tuning.
Okay.
Sometime, I think it was around time of Redemption, if I recall, Lee.
Yeah, all right,
we had decided to tune a half step down.
Okay.
And from there, our sound got a lot darker, a lot heavier, and it's much like how Black Sabbath did back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's and from there it's we're able to, and then we just have to be able to retool and reform a lot of those old songs to fit that new tuning, and thus breathing new life into them.
That's
I think
awesome.
one of the things you can also say is when I joined the band, that I didn't have so much of I don't want to say ego, because that all singers have it, but more that I was willing and open to having a lot of the different earlier material available to add to the catalog as a whole. I mean, and what I've tried to do since I joined has been trying to take some of the different vocal styles of the different singers have been in and try to kind of go through a middle path between them. A good example is the last singer that the band had was a very aggressive kind of sound. The original singer was a little more melodic. So I do what I can to kind of be able to walk between both of them and to kind of be able to blend them into an overall theme of what the band has now started to find its identity and its overall sound and becoming.
Yeah, I was really impressed with you guys had emailed me some of your music. You guys had emailed me some, and I was like, oh, this is great. I really like what you guys got going on here. I've been trying to find, I don't want to say super unique, but bands with sounds that I haven't heard in a really long time, or that I feel should come back, and yours was one of those. It was it's a similar sound, however it's more modern than it has the old school vibe to it, but it's definitely more modern. And
Right on. Thank you.
Well, I mean, you want to.
Yeah,
You want to
it
have
reminded
that
me
sort
of
of,
Sabbath.
And you definitely want to have that sort of balance because obviously
Yeah.
there's a lot of really good bands out there who are just developing new sounds, especially when we have more tools and technology than our predecessors did. And obviously you want to keep, obviously those predecessors built a foundation. They made those are the sounds that, like Alice in Chains, like Led Zeppelin, like Joy Division, Cure, Sabbath. They, of course, built iconic sounds that has withstood decades.
Yeah.
Now we have the tools at our disposal, and a lot of bands out here, not just us, but they've been using that. Whether it is to add extra dynamics, add extra layers, or even just sort of like make up for the lack of members, so to speak, on stage.
I think we can also say that the three of us have a different. Saying that we all have different influences is kind of cliche, but one of the things that I always point out is that and I'm going to speak about Damon as if he's not in the room, but Damon actually also is a DJ that does mostly dark electronic and kind of industrial sounds, and so even though obviously his instrument's the bass, he comes into the to the writing process and to the overall sound with that type of perspective in mind. Lee has a lot of traditional types of guitar-driven influences in him, obviously because he's playing guitar, and it brings that to the equation. And the previous band that I was in was actually a punk rock band, and I come in from a different type approach to it. So you take all those kinds of things together, and the fact that we're actually adding some of that, electronic background and some the electronic percussion on it, it makes it a different type of series of influences that you wouldn't necessarily see if all of us were coming from the same space. And that's that's also part of what goes on whenever we're deciding to, when we're working on new material or recording material, is that all of us take it at different perspectives, and not just being within our own instrument, but also looking at the overall of what we're most familiar with about how to take some of these things as a full sound and putting it all together. And actually, Lee mentioned the fact that when he and I first met, I came originally from a guitar background. So there's a lot of overlap in saying, well, what would be an interesting guitar sound to encourage Lee to do? The guys will say, hey, what would you, why don't you consider this melody or whatever? And so there's a lot of different things that kind of build up what we're going, as opposed to it being either completely separate, but all the same influences building up what we're doing.
Well, I mean, it's really interesting to have people from different backgrounds and influences all coming together in that way, because it makes for some really different music. Like, you wouldn't expect, like, a bunch of, like, a punk guy and then a guy with electronic and then a guy with, like, something else to be able to create some really, really heavy metal all together. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's really interesting that you guys are able to do that coming from different spaces like that.
Well, I mean, we all kind of grew up, even though we kind of have like different influences, we do different things. We all grew up loving the same type of music. We all grew up.
We all hung out at the
classics.
Mercury and the Vogue. We all hung out at the Mercury and the Vogue when we were younger, in some way or another.
For those of you who don't know, out there in the TikTok land, God, do I sound old? Anyway, all of you out there, the Mercury is a renowned goth club that runs 7 days a week, 365 days a year here in Seattle. I'm resident DJ, and of course, these guys have also been longtime folks who have come out from long ago. So, yeah,
Plug what you gotta do.
Catwalk. Little
of
catwalk
course,
in
gotta plug it.
Seattle.
Cheap plug.
Yeah, no, do what you gotta do. That's cool, man. That's what we're here for.
But yeah.
Plug anything you
But
want.
yeah, as I said, I mean, we all grew up loving this type of music. I mean, I grew up listening to like bands like Iron Maiden and Metallica and Judas Priest and Megadeth. I remember back in the day, used to listen to the old pirate radio in Southern California. KNAC. You remember pirate radio? Oh my God!
I do remember Pirate Radio.
I remember. And then of course KNAC, also in LA. That's been a, that was a stalwart of my listening habits back then. And of course I listened to the occasional K-rock as well.
Leads into my my next question, because my questions tend to be more on the creative side than it's music and creative. So
Sure.
what bands influence you personally, like the music that you make personally on your own? What music influenced you to create?
My partners. I'll let you answer first.
Which bands influenced? I'm a big Sisters of Mercy fan. Bauhaus, another one of my favorite bands. Guitar-wise, Daniel Ash and Eddie Van Halen. Or if you took those two and smashed them together, you'd probably get kind of what I am.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple there. And lately I've been listening to a lot of Frank Zappa.
I love Frank
Remember Frank
Zappa.
Zappa?
I love him so much.
Got some crazy
I bought
guitar
myself a
stuff.
Zappa shirt for my birthday.
Yo, right on.
Love that man. I get so excited when anybody brings him up because where I live, I always hear, "Oh, Frank Zappa, really?"
Really? Oh my!
Come on.
I don't know. People are weird.
You're an OG,
He's done a lot. I mean, for Zappa musically, there's so much different types of music that he's done. He tends to get lumped under kind of like the Weird Al Yankovic thing, but
Yeah, I really wish he didn't though. He's such a creative person.
Right.
He's an amazing guitar player, and he's written like entire compositions, and I mean, I think it was like he died when he was like 52. But
Don't say that.
He put out like
No, 50 years young.
I think it was over
He's too
100
young to be
albums.
dead.
He died of cancer. It's prostate. But it was really sad. And his son Dweezil kind of carries on the tradition. Dweezil had his own career, but like I want to say, 20 years ago, he started recreating like I think it's called Zappa Plays Zappa, where he plays all his father's music.
That's
And goes
awesome. I'm
and
gonna leave
got
this
some of the
with more
original players.
Zappa information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I can pretty much echo a lot of what Lee has said. I mean, of course, as I mentioned, of course, growing up listening to like metal band, rock, classic rock, because my mom and dad would always listen to classic rock, on the radio, and then 60s and 70s rock, and then of course discovering acts like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and then as I kept on growing up, learning of bands like Bauhaus, System of Mercy, Susie and the Banshees, Joy Division, The Cure. Then I started getting into a lot more of electronic music stuff. Artists such as like Nine Inch Nails and Kraftwerk, Depeche Mode, and it really sort of like especially when you had like access to tools. When I was going to school as a recording engineer, using their like keyboards and like other recording equipment, drum machines, etc. I would have access to creating stuff like that and listening to artists who are similar in those tastes. And then I used to go to a lot of record stores all the time too when I was younger, and sometimes I would just spend an entire day there. Sometimes my mom would have to come looking for me and and have to like pull me out of there. But I would be there from like open to close sometime, and I would just be listening to like weird shit, stuff that I would just find that would just be like, you know what, this record looks fucking cool. Album art looks cool. I think I'm gonna listen to it. And
was
then
back when you had to go look for music.
Yeah, we didn't have like the internet when I was, well, we had it, but it wasn't very fast.
The
Remember kids out there in TikTok, we had to dial up the phone before we had to go on the internet. But yeah, and even then, it's like the discovery of the internet, good segue into there, allowed me to do more research and to find artists that, all I had to do was just like, type in artists like, Depeche Mode, artists like Metallica, artists like,
then you get
Nine Inch Nails.
and then you can find more.
And then you get into a full-on rabbit hole, you just, discovering, artists like The Cure. Then you start to see artists like, Specimen, Christian Death, Sisters of Mercy, you really, 45 Grave. You're really starting to like, get into the rabbit hole, and all of a sudden that just influences everything you're doing.
Yeah.
And even as a DJ, it's like I'm discovering new music all the time. I get, music from labels and, from like the goth scene and like dark electronic music. And, once again, that's like, oh, that sounds pretty fucking cool. What would happen if we did something like this?
That's awesome. So you're constantly inspired.
Yeah, the ADHD doesn't help either. Seriously. If anything, it just keeps the tism in check.
I gotta basically sign off on everything that the guys have said in terms of influences. I also have to acknowledge that, personally speaking, one of my influences first getting into music was Dead Kennedys. I really like, and
I'm a punk.
One of the,
I like all that stuff.
Well, one of the things I like about him, I mean, not just because of the message, and obviously Joel Biafra is, an amazing front guy, but I was always very impressed and motivated by how the different musicians of DK would kind of fit in. I mean, it's their signature piece, obviously it's Holiday in Cambodia, but the combination of, of what DH's, drumming and Klaus's bass and of course Ray's guitar, all the different layers of it, I really, really found a lot of influence in that in determining my own personal style. I'm also a really big fan, although I don't really see a lot of our direct influences or what I contribute to Prelude, is a big fan of X. Big fan of
Mm-hmm.
I think Billy Zoom is one of the best guitarists out there, and I really kind of like how they are not just kind of a one flavor of band, that there's a lot of different things to underneath the surface for X. So that's kind of something I really enjoy too. Just as an overall kind of overview.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Okay.
It's an LA thing. I mean, you can't really talk about LA punk if you don't talk about X. I mean, that's
we're talking about LA things. Talk about LA things with a band from Seattle.
That's true.
So, just the usual things, right?
Man, did get to see them actually in their last tour though. That was pretty cool. So.
That's awesome. So, do you guys have anything coming up soon, or anything you'd like to plug about your band that you are really proud of recently?
Want to talk about the new EP, guys?
Yes, the new EP.
Yes. We just finished up a brand new EP that's actually available on Spotify and Apple Music, Bandcamp, but I believe actually we will have the physicals. You know more about that, Lee, than I do.
Yeah, we'll get some physicals out there. No, I mean, who buys CDs?
At least probably by our next show.
Oh, yeah. Lee, come on. You can't just say, I kind of know.
Yes,
We
you
trying to be
know,
impressive here.
out there. For those who
Yeah.
still use CD players in their
Yeah,
cars
so we
from the 90s.
this year we
Oh,
did
I
a
got
new
you.
EP called the new EP is called "And All the Devils Are Here," and that's got 4 new tunes. And actually, the way things are at is that we may be ready to start recording our next EP early next year. I mean, we have the material kind of.
Well, kind of already started it.
Yeah.
we have it. We have about 4 songs ready, pretty much
Hell
ready
yeah.
to go. So we're
And it'll be
we're
called
still
all
writing
the
new stuff there. So it's
Yeah.
and it'll be called "And All the Devils Are Over There."
And they are here. Remember that? And actually, that's kind of an interesting thing. Is just that all 3 of us, and I'm sure you as well, know that the industry's changed a lot in that it's no longer just coming up with a full
Yeah.
LP of saying, okay, we have 12 songs now. Now we put it out and we do that, and then we tour.
everyone get heard.
Yeah.
Crazy about it, and then we go back in 2 years. Now it's one of those. The industry and technology is such that it encourages you to have smaller, deliverables put out, smaller EPs, and to say, okay, we've got this out, and then 8 months later we got a new thing coming out, and then to continually have those to make sure people are paying attention to what you got, because there's so much noise out there, and when you're a band, you're not really just competing against other music, both current and past, but you're competing for people's attention across everything. I mean,
we
it's
have
just
that
like
problem as well.
Our worst competition, of course, is everyone's worst competition is the algorithms.
And
The
actually,
algorithms are definitely it's like we got all these other things on, fighting us. Now we add the overall platforms that we are using that are fighting against us. And a lot of the algorithms favoring like these 2-3 minute long songs that are not really just they feel like they're missing something, but they're not, but because hey, this generates more Spotify hits, this generates more plays. I think that's kind of like really it's definitely not the greatest byproduct of this new industry. At the same time, it's like it's given us more freedom to kind of do what we want to do from a release standpoint, because of the fact that okay, we can release music in 4-song chunks. We can release singles if we want to, and nowadays, if anything, this is putting, since now we're not trying to cram as many songs onto a CD to try to make the print run worthwhile, we can it really enables artists to really pick up that lost art of album craft, where they can actually, if they want to pull out a full-length album, then they can have to make it mean something. They have to make each song work together. And
Damon actually brought up a very interesting point with that you do compete against the algorithm in some ways, and that's kind of a segue in the fact that we've only been active on TikTok for 3 months, I think.
I think so. And
it's not to say that
runs it.
Yeah, I mean we've had Facebook and Instagram and all those things, and ultimately we realized that we needed to have a presence in TikTok because it's obviously a communication channel and what have you, but it also was another way that we could express of what we wanted to do. And just to kind of lead into that, so we didn't know what to do with TikTok when we first got onto it. I mean, we were saying, okay, well,
How does
what
this
happens?
work?
Yeah, we didn't know.
I started using it maybe 3 years ago, just on my own, and I had to have my son teach me how to use it.
And
I'm afraid to tap something.
We're old. Remember that.
That's okay.
Oh shit! I didn't mean to touch that. What is that?
so the direction I'm going with that is that, you know, we've been working to develop the overall identity of what we've been trying to put out musically through visuals and just the overall vibe of what we've got. And I know that if you see what we put out there, you know, we kind of have a very we have a very signature type of, you know, TikTok video if you've seen it a couple of times. Yeah, and some people like it, and some people go, "What the hell are you people doing?" You know, and all that. But one of the things, but the reason we do that is because we realize that, you know, we are competing for attention in some ways, and we're wanting to do it in a way that actually expresses kind of the vibe and the themes of what we've got musically and lyrically and overall, without it just being, please like us, please follow us. You know all the TikTok consultants who say, oh yeah, just go up there and say, use this musical hook or use this lyrical hook. And you go, all right, sure, you know, I guess that works. And sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't.
You know, I mean, if you really want to, you know, I mean, just, there's always been one thing about the internet that's always been tried and true. Cats get likes.
Cats are the way to go.
And you didn't realize that, you know, we do put up our cats. Because we are shameless in using our pets.
Like, people who use TikTok tend to be the ones that have, and I don't want to say shorter attention spans, but shorter attention spans. Like, we post on everything. We only have a following, though, on TikTok. And it's because we do a little tiny clip. And I find that, like, these new apps do make it more interesting for bands, but because of the way the algorithm works, good ones tend to get flooded out, and you don't get to see them as often as... And it's kind of difficult and obnoxious because there are so many hidden ones hidden behind all the music that's flooding out right now. Where, like, back in the day, you know, somebody would discover you and then that's where you would go. Yeah. Now it's everybody wants to get discovered all at once and everybody wants to be famous. And nobody really cares about music anymore, which I find really sad.
It's also how they package it. Yeah. I mean, like, there's a band, I'm not going to mention their name because I'm not wanting to mention this band's name because I don't want to seem like I'm being critical of it, but it was very clear that they have a studio backing behind them. And so the way that they did it is that they obviously spent a lot of money on one video with, and then we're really just planning it out about the big presentation of it and what, the video's coming, but and just show little clips of it. And then the big release for it. And then their song hit and then just kind of a slam. And that's great for them. That's cool. But when you're a smaller band, when you're more independent and you don't have that, you need
more work.
Yeah, more work, and you need to basically find different ways of approaching it as opposed to just saying that, okay, we're going to spend a couple $1,000s on a video and then just do the big, announcement that we're doing. It doesn't work that way. It requires a consistent type of presence and effort and putting into it. And as I said, theming of what you're wanting to, and of how you want to come across.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. I find that so often, like a lot of these videos that get you hyped for one video after posting 50 million of the same short video getting you ready for that one.
Yeah.
When you could have just put out a whole bunch of different
saturation
stuff.
Of the, it's like, saturation of the airwaves.
Yep.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the problem with that is like everybody else is using that trick.
Yeah.
So you get the saturation of the saturation. And I'm kind of wondering why the internet hasn't broken yet.
The AI and the media plants where, there's all these AI bands now. Well, that's why we made the show, is because AI had taken over, and I have so many friends that play music that just lost motivation. And I'm like, well, absolutely not. Here's all these people
we
that
actually
still
exist.
They're still happy. Yeah, like there are people that still create and still have passion and still want to do things. I don't
Are you
know.
referencing the totally AI generated band that's on Spotify right now?
There's multiple. There's
I think
so
I
many,
saw
and I
something
get
like
them.
that,
And when
yeah.
I'm scouting for bands, at least 4 or 5 in my newsfeed will be like AI bands or media plants. Like they just, and I really have to look to be able to tell the difference sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
And that's why
oh,
I don't
this
use
is kinda
Spotify
cool.
personally.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't use Spotify personally. I may use the Spotify app to listen to like maybe one podcast, and that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't know you didn't use Spotify.
I don't use Spotify. I use Tidal as my music player. They don't have
Oh,
AI
okay.
music on it.
Isn't that Dr. Dre who put out Tidal?
I think it was Jay-Z. One of
Oh,
those
okay,
guys. One of those guys.
That's
But
something
it was,
I've never heard.
but you know, they also pay a bigger cut to the artists, and there's also a DJ mode where it's like a program where it's like I can pull any song off a Tidal if I have to remotely, if I'm connected to Wi-Fi with whenever I'm DJing, if I need to get a request or whatever. So that helps me a lot too.
Yeah, Spotify takes a large portion.
Yeah.
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 And now they want to weaponize that music.
God, I'm so
Yeah.
tired of everybody.
Mhm.
And on that
Fucking
note,
billionaires.
with my last
billionaires,
question,
they suck.
my favorite question: why is creativity important to you, and why do you enjoy creating?
Keeps
Very
keeps
broad.
you sane. Keeps you sane. Just enjoy doing it. I mean, even if they told you weren't going to be ever famous or ever make any money at this, I'd still do it.
We wouldn't have
you
been doing this for 13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You real love. You love doing it. It's what you do.
This is therapy. It's therapy. I mean, the world sucks. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We all know it. The world sucks. AI bots are running the whole fucking. AI bots are all over the
We
place.
got robot dogs.
you know,
We got robot strippers.
robot
there's
dogs, robot strippers.
Tell me more about the
Labubu
robot strippers, please.
I just love the play.
We got all
I
the
just love
nuts
the play.
and bolts.
We got everything. It's like
Wow.
we are. It keeps us. Yeah. I mean, we were made to do this, and we have other jobs, we have other things, other passions, but this is what keeps us going. This is what I don't know where I would be if I would still be here if I
I'll tell
didn't
you.
have this. From
I recently injured my finger. These guys know about it. So my finger's been in a splint for like the last 7 months. I tore the tendon on my left ring finger, and I haven't been able to play guitar, and it's been absolute hell.
Don't let
And,
him show you the finger.
I've,
He can't get his camera to work.
Remember?
it's just been hell, but I've been trying to figure out ways, I mean, now I can actually play, but with the splint on, I was telling these guys, I can use my 2 fingers. I can still play with those 2 fingers and use my. I've been trying to find ways, to make it work. I started playing keyboards. Like Dave sent me a song to work on, and I recorded a keyboard version of it because I could still use my other hand. So
Yeah.
it's just there, that creativity and that wanting to do it, and it's a labor.
Yeah.
What you love doing,
And it's like we do it so long. It's like, and then you find out when you can't do it. Like in Lee's case,
You're like, oh,
for
shit.
a period of time, it's like
No.
then you realize exactly, how much maybe you've taken it for granted, and
It
then
means to you, yeah,
and then it realizes like, fuck this, I really can't live without this.
yeah.
It was
yeah.
kind of like a horse in the fact that if he was going to have a hurt hand, we were going to have to put him down.
Oh, no.
Damon and I talked about it, and it was one of those things. It's like, you mean replace him? No, we were going to put him
You're
down.
killing
It would have been cruel to have him try to continue on injured because he won't run the same. So we knew.
You know how many glue manufacturers were bringing Dave's phone off
Oh
the
my
hook?
god.
Yeah, we were going to make it glue, Lee. Sorry.
No,
I mean, we
to
can
sell
talk about
the
it
next
now.
album.
Yeah.
This old,
Ultimate Glue
yeah.
Factory.
Yeah, how metal is that? It's
Dan
like,
turns
we're just
guitarist
gonna,
into glue.
Songs from the Glue Factory. That's it, right there. Gonna write that one down.
Was it
our next
recently?
album cover is just gonna be some footprints in a shed, and that's pretty much it.
And a bucket of glue.
That's right.
Off and on the same subject, I recently saw some metal band was like, with their merch, they were selling semen with their merch. That just made me think about the glue.
Semen or cement?
Cement.
No,
Semen.
you were right. And I'm not
Cement?
talking about naval officers,
Yeah,
my friend.
some metal band they were selling merch, and that was on their merch table.
Man.
Like in a labeled container.
Oh,
First of all, First of all,
Wait,
was
we
it
were
like
going
a
there.
giant, like, how big were the containers?
Small little like vials.
Oh
Oh,
my god.
that's it?
Right.
Jesus Christ, guys.
That's like some marketing.
Weak!
So you guys
Oh,
could
God.
totally do the glue thing.
No.
I'm just saying.
Well, it's
Yeah.
sticky. It's sticky and white.
It's
So
less disgusting than the
Less.
Was there like a lot of it or?
Why do you care?
It's sold out.
Why do you care?
we're curious.
No,
Well, somebody has to do a lot of
we. Not we.
Maybe I am. I don't know.
Like how many times a day or whatever, you know? I mean,
It's, I was curious too because I'm like, what do you
four,
mean? he's
four
sold
members
out?
of the band?
Now is it just now is it individual band members semen, or is it like the collective group? All shared in one?
Oh my god. Okay, so it could be like. Now I'm thinking about this. So like when Kiss put their blood in the cover in the comic book, they all put it in there. You could. Never mind. I don't like where this is going. So
Well, Rammstein did sell
This younger rock
box
dude,
set.
he put his blood in his vinyls, and it's just how long does this take for these people to do this weird shit?
Oh my god.
we'll just sign an autograph. How about that?
Yeah,
We'll take a photo.
Autographs are fine.
don't put him down. He can't be glue. Nathan Horse.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we got autograph. Yeah, we'll sign. We'll sign whatever.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good.
You know, just saying. Just saying.
We're going to high ground.
All right, my friends.
All right.
It was good to talk to you. I am grateful we got some laughs, and I'm glad we got to learn a little bit about your band. We plan on starting a podcast soon on Spotify, the evil Spotify. If ever you guys would like to be on there.
Not with
because
what you've
we're
been
still
saying
learning
about them.
everything.
Jeez.
Oh, cheers.
We're
Here I
still
go.
learning how to use these apps, and that one's
Losing
just kinda
endorsements.
easy. If ever you guys would like to be back on our podcast once we have it, we would like to have you. You guys are a lot of fun to talk to.
Sure.
We're probably collectively your oldest TikTok interview
That's
ever.
not true.
Oh, really?
No, I
mean, you got-
actually. So my co-hosts, they're a little younger than me. I was raised by. My parents are in their 50s, so I was, of course, raised by a lot of older music. I don't know any of the newer music. That's not even a lie. I genuinely no clue. So they tend to go for the younger bands who make the newer stuff. I tend to go for the ones that I understand.
Mhm.
And the music makes sense to me, and it speaks to me a little more. I know one of my hosts, I refused to do it because I just am not into it. She does emo rap. It bugs me a little bit.
wow.
I'm not. It's a sound I don't care for.
I gotta go
Okay.
see what that sounds like.
No rap.
It's like you throw some synth on some beats about doing drugs, and then you
That
sound
might be
really
East
stressed
Side
about
Boys,
it.
which
Skirt.
I'm also working tonight.
Rap.
Skirt.
So
But that's just my opinion. I was
Oh,
raised
actually-
on like Boingo Boingo and Ozzy and just an array of different
Yeah.
the Temptations. So it's my music confuses them, theirs confuses me. we
oh
meet in
hell
the
yeah!
middle
Thank you for
somewhere.
having us. Yeah, definitely thank you
Absolutely,
for having
guys.
us.
You have a wonderful night.
All right. Thank you for having us. Oh, before I forget.
Remember, we got it.
What's up, my friend?
Always, I got to do this final thing. So make sure follow us on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and Threads. But also, we do have our website, which is www.preludetoapistol.com. There we go.
It just leads you to the Bandcamp where you can get And All the Devils Are Here.
Ixnay on the erection day. Wait. That's not what I meant.
You can get our new EP and our old EPs and other stuff as well.
Yes, please.
And we are playing at the Central on the 26th of October in Seattle and in Eugene 2 days prior on the 24th.
If you guys want to
at
send me
the
that information, I
Scarlet
can promo
Serpent.
that for you as well.
Saints and sinners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you send me a promo poster, I'll post it on all our social media for you guys too.
Sure.
Killer.
You got it.
Thank you.
Put him down before
Thank you so
before the next interview.
Dave.
What?